What's going on, traders? Hope everybody's having a great evening. Thank you for joining me here on this mid-week market analysis and recap. I'm going to be going over some bigger picture charts here as we have closed out the month of October and FOMC is behind us. See what we're looking at from those views, and of course we're going to break it down and get more granular, take a look at some key areas that I'll be watching, some areas that we may want to engage the market and manage our risk, and what to potentially expect coming into the back half of the week. Now, of course, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so in no way this should be viewed as financial advice. So with that out of the way, let's get into some charts. And as I mentioned before, we have FOMC now behind us, and Powell has decided to leave rates unchanged, which was expected by the market. And tomorrow we do have Apple earnings, though. So that is another canary in the coal mine that we're going to have to see with Apple being such a high beta name, how the markets are going to react to their numbers as well as their conference call. And then once that's out of the way, we'll have just a little bit more clarity on the potential outlook for the market. But as I mentioned, of course, we're starting off the month now of November. So let's take a look at where we are from a monthly perspective, what we can take away from this viewpoint, because, we were watching the swing low here, right? And what did we say? We were looking for that potential retest of this prior, right, move, right? And if we're going to turn this into a potential, inverted head and shoulders like this, right? This gave us the breakout. So from the monthly view, it would only make sense to come back and potentially retest this area, which we have. And then what were we talking about from the monthly view? What is that setting us up with? We have our swing low, and then we would have our higher low being put in this area, right? We, from the bullish perspective on the monthly time frame, we really did not want to see this breakdown and us start trading below, say, this 406 area. If we did that, we would be in a little bit more trouble from this viewpoint in the markets, and that would invalidate this potential monthly trend that is taking place right now. But as it stands, the this area has held, and this has given us that that higher low that we were looking for. And what do we have next? Well, the other thing that we want to look at is the fact that we are still trading here below the monthly 9, but we're stuck now. We did start the month above the monthly 20. So we can have that potentiality where we are just kind of pinned between these two major monthly moving averages. That is one thing that we want to watch out for, develop. The other thing that we, kind of want to keep in mind is that as we break down into the weekly, which we're about to get into, and the daily, they may be telling a different story. But from right here, from the monthly viewpoint, okay, we can still have a bit of a bullish perspective, right? And that will change if we do start to invalidate this higher low being put in. But until then, from the monthly view, everything's okay. Not too much to be concerned about. Now let's get into the weekly. That is telling us a bit of a different story. So we're going to come in here to the weekly and see what we can take away from this point of view. All right. Now what's going on here on the weekly? Now, we're obviously in a weekly downtrend. We have our swing high that we put in here. Another lower high here. We've got our lower low here. Weekly. Lower high, lower low. So from the trend sequence perspective, we can really still just look at this as what? Another lower high being put in the trend sequence. Now we can even come up a little bit higher. We do still have the weekly 9 and 20 sitting 20 sitting right about 430, rounding the numbers here, and the weekly 9 is sitting at 427, again rounding the numbers though. So we could even come up there and still be a weekly lower high in the trend sequence, right? And here's our lower low. So we were also talking about, what was the logical move after we had made this lower low? Well, we were talking about looking for that counter trend down, that counter trend trade coming into the markets over in the weekend video, and I even posted to my Twitter. I'm going to be watching, 420 and 423 this week. A couple of comments in there were teasing me, talking about lower prices, but there were clues in the market that we were going to get this counter trend rally, and I hope that the video did point you in a safer direction coming into this week. And of course, we did hit that 423, the 420. And we got that move, right? We didn't want to be shorting into that high congestion area. And we'll go over some of those other clues that we were talking about, that I was alluding to, that we, in the weekend video. We'll recap them here in a little bit as well. So, am I going to be saying right now, I want to be buying and everything, and, the Santa Claus rally is here, this and that, we're out of the bear market's over, or this downtrend is over? No, I don't, from the weekly perspective, we are not out of Dodge yet. And, when we do, and when things, get better, I'll be the first one to, start to, talk about that. From the monthly perspective, obviously, yes, we have a little bit more of a bullish stance still, but, we're trading, what's in front of us, day by day, week by week. Monthly is obviously a bit more macro. So, we just break it down. We always try to keep completely neutral and just go with what the chart is telling us. And of course, we have our theses, about where the market may be heading. But the price action is king at the end of the day. The people that get made fun of for being an uber bear, doom and gloom, you get, it's the other side of the coin still exists. People that are the uber bulls, right? And you can't be too one-sided. Let the chart be your guide. And we're always trying to make these videos just based on the price action and kind of level-headed thinking, I guess I should say. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen here. Now, are we going to continue up higher? I don't know, but we're going to get into the daily chart here. But let's just keep in mind, weekly, we could even come up a little bit higher. It's not going to matter. We're going to really have to start to change the weekly trend, or at least to get into maybe a bearish neutral, and then maybe we can start to shift into that neutral and then bullish neutral kind of stance. We're going to have to start trading back over 430 and get up more towards these equal highs here. We would have to get up in here. Then we can start saying that things are potentially getting better from that weekly point of view. But as it stands, from the weekly perspective, for me, nothing really too bullish. Okay, we've got a little counter trend rally, sure. But it also would not surprise me at all to see something like this. We move above, and then we just kind of head back down in our overall trajectory, right? So let's not forget that. I'm not really one into rushing into calls, and I said this on my Twitter. If it wasn't for Apple earnings, I probably would have been looking at maybe a starter into some swing puts, if I'm being fair. But I didn't do anything. We'll see. We'll see what I do. But we'll know more after Apple. All right, let's get into the daily picture here, because that is also telling another story. So monthly, we can say bullish still, weekly still bearish, and the daily still bearish to me. Let's get into that viewpoint. What's going on here on the daily chart? Well, now we're just coming into basically the gauntlet here for the bulls. We've got the back test now of the 200 SMA. We've got the 20 EMA on the daily sitting right here at 423.80. Gonna have to get over this, right? This is gonna be tough to get over. Probably a lot of shorts sitting here. I actually wouldn't be surprised because it's such an obvious short, right? You know, if we're just looking here, we're just back testing the 200, right? Well, if everything was that easy, I mean, yes, it could play out for sure. But is the market ever that easy? No, I don't. We've all been in the markets long enough to know that it's never that easy. I could actually see something where we break over and then we hang out above for like a little bit, and then we roll back over, and it just ends up being a fake break over the. So everyone will get stopped out over these moving averages, and then they roll it over, right? That's how the market works. Let's watch out for that and see how that. I'm just making guesses here. Okay, but daily chart, we can start to make a couple of arguments and a couple of things here that could say, all right, this is a little bit more constructive. First thing I want to point out, all right, we were watching these oversold conditions here on our Momo, finally getting that push up a little bit out of that, seeing some momentum on the daily come in. Okay, that's I would say this is a bit of a positive sign here, right? Other thing that is positive, we were watching and we were talking about a retest of the the earlier month of October, those swing lows, right? We were looking at this area in that 420 zone, right? Right here, right? Well, this is what we were talking about, possibly retesting. We have obviously broken over that, right? So the main area that we want to watch from this bigger picture perspective is to see if we hang out above 420, potentially come in like this, consolidate, form some type of a potential bull flag, right? Bullish consolidation, and then we make our move to the upside. Boom. Okay? Now, if that happens, where may we head? I'm going to give two scenarios here. As far as obviously the bull and the bear move, where may we head at that point? Well, the most logical place, in my opinion, that we would head was, remember this potential bear bull flag that we were watching as well from mid-October, right? We thought it was a bull flag. What we said was this could be a bull flag. This may be a distribution, right? We just weren't sure. And I'll throw out there that this might be the very same thing again, right? We could just see this type of situation come on. We are unable to break higher. They break down, and then we sell down like this. So that is something that can play out. But if we break out, where do you think we'd be heading? Does anyone know what I would potentially say? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. All right. Where do we think we're going to head? The answer would be to backtest this prior distribution zone. Why would it do that, right? This was the market structure break. Right here, when this broke, a lot of liquidity in this area. What is markets function always? To seek liquidity, right? We've talked about this before. So if we do break out, I would not be surprised at all. I'm going to wait till after Apple before I call my next big shot. But I wouldn't be surprised if this does break out and it turns out to be the flag, that we come back, we retest. I'm going to say we get into the 430s, maybe a little bit higher, 431, right? So we break out from here, we come back to retest the prior structural break, and then from there, that could be where we actually sell, and then we fail. And I want to, let me bring this back. Okay, it's not going to let me go back that far. Let me put this up. Okay, I just want to expand it a little bit. Okay, this one should be actually a little lower. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's fix this. Okay, beautiful. There we go. Okay, that's better. All right, so let's see. Let me get this other line out here because this was also important. Oh. Okay, that's good enough. All right. So we potentially flag out. We don't know if it's distribution or a flag. Say it breaks out, right? We head up, retest into here, right into here, and then we could head back down. Two things to consider here, and all these, and still, even if we come up here, it's still bigger picture. This would probably be setting us up with that weekly higher lower high, but if this rolls over, it's more of a daily lower high in my opinion. But what was I gonna say? But also let's also keep this in mind. And when I just kind of mentioned that, right, we would have here our swing high, right, from the month of October. If we came in to retest this prior structure break, what is that overall, right? What is this then compared to here? We're still just putting in a lower high in the trend sequence, and that's where we could reject as well. So, I'm wondering, I'm really just curious. I called out maybe that we would just slightly break over the 20 here, but I'm wondering if they actually bring us up this, because this scenario, I think less people would be looking at. Like this would be more of like the obvious short, and then they all get, this I wonder if this was, I have a feeling that this may be the more likely scenario, but I don't know. We're going to see. If Apple didn't have earnings tomorrow, like I said, I would probably be looking to swing puts, though, and give this a shot. I mean, it's definitely a setup. It's definitely a trade. So yeah, but I haven't done anything yet. All right. The other thing I kind of wanted to go over really quickly before we started looking at a couple of other charts here. We've got this level, the 420 that we're going to be watching. So we're going to use that as our main pivot that we want to be seeing to hold. But bulls still have another chance, right? We were also talking about that potential inverted head and shoulders being formed, right? We had right here, right? Oh, sorry, wrong one. We had this right here. Boom, boom, boom. And where's our neckline? Our neckline was when really we broke over Thursday's session high, that range, right? And then we were talking about we needed to get over this range here for us to really see that bigger move. And the other thing what we did talk about was the thin structure, that how easily it would be to potentially come back and tear through this. We still have that potential thin structure up here as well. So if we do get going, it wouldn't be that hard, especially if we squeeze people and get trapped some shorts. It wouldn't be that hard for us to rally through this thinner structure and get into that back test, right? So we saw how easily it took for the bulls to take out this thin structure, okay? And this also would be some, would make sense as far as like the kind of market that we've had this year, just to see some kind of, chaos like this, right? Because hasn't this kind of been the way the market's felt? So that wouldn't surprise me either. Okay, so we're watching 420, but where else? Now, from the other structural perspective, we were talking about the inverted head and shoulders. We've got the breakout. So what the other thing I'm going to be watching is that neckline retest, right? Even if we come back down around to the 416 area, 416.50, anywhere in that area, we could still come back down, retest that zone, right? And it's just a retest of the prior breakout, right? And then we would put in, and if that happens and we find a bid there, we can start to make a case for a daily lower, higher low to be put in, right? So if this fails, we come down. I'm just going to start this off so we can all just see it fresh here. So we come down, we've got our neckline here, call it right here, right? We've got our neckline. We come down, we put in a daily lower, higher low, and then from there, we maybe make that move back up into right like that. That is one path that we could take as well. So the short could work, and people might get all frothy and then keep loading shorts in here and not realize that we're just testing this. And then, so the short could work. I mean, that's still a nice trade from, 422. What is that? $4 or $5, $6, whatever. Coming down here, but you might want to get out of harm's way. Or we could just blast through. I don't know. But from the daily perspective, this is certainly something that we could see play out. If we do start to roll over here, I would still say bulls from the daily view still have a chance for a move to the upside as long as we hold that 416 area. Then we can see the move, up higher. The next major test is pretty much going to be the 20th session highs around that 425. We start getting over 425, I'm going to be pretty much very much more confident in that this scenario coming in to retest that is going to happen. And I have a feeling that is going to happen, just my gut intuition. Of course, I'm spitballing here, so anything could happen, and we'll let the chart be our guide, right? But we'll see. All right, enough of that. Let's get into some other charts now. Let's just take a quick look at some of our other views now that we've just kind of broken down the price action in itself. What do we see here from our macro trends here, our macro downtrend channels that we have been watching? Another kind of clue here to me that would say maybe you don't want to be so quick to be buying right here after this 3-day rally. We also talked about, 1, 2, 3 down red days. We got the 2 green days. Around 3 red days, we said statistically we're going to see some type of a green move. We've had 3 green candles now. Statistically, of course Apple is in the way, but statistically unlikely to see another green day tomorrow, in my opinion. I'm going to also be watching out for that chop. We've had a huge move, range expansion now. After that big daily breakout of that inverted head and shoulders, we could just hang out. But do I want to be shorting here, or do I want to get in long at the 200, the 20, and this downtrend test? No, not at all. Not at all. So we could see this, right? Come up into here. We come in here. Maybe we trade up in this channel for a bit. I'm not sure. We'll watch for those sideways moves as well. So interesting viewpoint, word of caution here. Now we've got 3 levels of confluence for that potential short on this trend line, the 20, the 200, boom, boom, very interesting there. So, that's definitely a potential trade, and I may take a stab at it. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get back into let's get into the weekly fibs really quickly and see what we can take away from that viewpoint. Okay, we have recaptured 417. I'll be watching this level as well. We've recaptured from this weekly view the 38.2. Another level, in my opinion, big pivot there that we want to pay attention to. In addition to that, 416, 425. And 420 zone. Let's watch 417, and that's going to be holding this 38.2 here on the weekly. That would be a little bit of a bullish sign if we can hold over that. I think that would be good overall. All right, let's throw up the daily fibs now really quickly. See what we can take away from that view. Daily fibs, where are you? Daily trends, no, daily fib. All right, here we go. Okay, cool. All right. So we were already talking about that 425 level, important level, and what I was mentioning from the candlestick perspective, what we would have to get over really to start to look a bit more likely that we would see near that 430. If we're accepting 425, in my opinion, 430 is going to be very likely. But one step at a time. We've got the 618 here. We could move up even a little bit higher into that area. Watch out if they can't get over there. We could see something like this take place, coming into 425 and then coming back down. Maybe that's where we get the move, the rejection, and then we come back to test the that neckline. So we'll see about that. Then maybe we come back up. Maybe we double top. Maybe they break through. I don't know, but we'll see. So we'll watch that 425, as we already mentioned here. Nice confluence with that level with our 61.8. So cool on that. All right. I think that's all the charts I wanted to go over for SPY. Let's break down a couple of other things before we get into some of our macro analysis. What's going on in TNX world? Well, we're sitting right at the daily 20 here, breaking down a little bit after that consolidation, just under 48 here. Let's see if they can, if rates here still stay under that 48, then we can talk about maybe breaking down. Let's see maybe if this creates some type of a bear flag potentially, and then brings us down to that next major retest of that 47 area. We'll see, but overall, nothing's really changed that much as far as how we're looking, in the overall perspective of looking bullish, right? And from here, I also wouldn't be surprised if we just kind of maybe hang out in this area now. Before we saw this kind of consolidation up here, just generally in this range, but maybe we hang out maybe in this little kind of a little bit more bearish area in the range, and nothing kind of happens here for a moment over the next few sessions. So we'll see about that. Overall, still bullish, getting just a little bit. There could be some small signs that we could see a little bit more downside here, but nothing yet. Let's see how the week closes, if we actually close under 48 or not. Then we can talk about maybe coming down into that 47 area, maybe filling this gap here into the mid 47s or thereabouts. So we shall see. All right, let's see how the dollar reacted today to FOMC, and then we'll get into some of our other internals. All right, here, looking at the dollar, not really too much has changed here, actually. I mean, it was down today. You can see, again, we tried to break out over that 107, couldn't break over, kind of a false breakout there, came back down, and then but now here we are, but we're still hanging out strongly above 106. So nothing really too negative here. What we want to see, though, we're talking about this potentially being a bull flag. I'm wondering also too, could this be something where we're kind of distributing and then maybe we start to come off a little bit, but as it stands, really nothing too bearish here. We'll just watch out for more of this sideways chop that we kind of been talking about. If we start to get back under this 105, 85, we'll call it, and then it's like a little bit more of a bearish consolidation here. And if we do start to get below that 105, 85 zone, all right, that's going to give us a little bit more relief on the equity side of things. So we'll see. But as right now, we're just consolidating, so not really too much to go over from this point of view. All right, let's take a look at some of our internals and what we had so far on the week here. We never really got, from the ADD so far this week, we've never really been in where the whole market's participated. We've never been in this trend higher zone yet. We've tried to get up there. We've been above zero the last couple of sessions, but it hasn't been overly exuberant from the advanced decliner perspective, right? So still some hesitation from this viewpoint. Otherwise, we would have started to see some more readings up in this 1500, 2000. We never got there, right? From the VOLD though, nice moves here to the upside. This, Wednesday was a little bit more iffy. I think there was a lot of hesitation, obviously, with the rates. It came up a bit towards the end, but I think that the 2 days on Monday and Tuesday were a little bit were definitely stronger, and maybe this inflow here was a little bit of a tell that we would see a positive reaction from the markets today. But so Monday and Tuesday looking good. As far as this is concerned, today a little bit more muted, but we'll see how the rest of the week goes as far as that's concerned. Now, of course, breadth was all positive today, but it was nothing. Dow was decent, but nothing really that was screaming incredible strength here. We've seen QQQ at 4 to 1 before. That would be a bit more bullish. We've seen RTY at 4 or 5. Before. So kind of muted, although positive, but not nothing that's saying screaming out. Same kind of very similar to the ADD there. All right, let's get into some other charts here, and we'll go. Oh, well, we'll just start off where I am. Okay, so the SPX 50R, right? How many of the companies in the S&P are trading above their 50-day simple period moving average? And the main one of the main canaries in the coal mines, one of the clues that we were talking about in the weekend video was the divergence, the bullish divergence that we saw in the market, right? SPY had made a lower low where this indicator had made a lower high. A higher low, right? And we've got it marked out here, and you can see that, and now we've got that move. Let's see what happens when we start to get, if we start to get back up into this 30 area, 33. There is the strong potentiality that we come up to here, and then we come back down once again. So although this was a great clue for us not to really be shorting too much in this first part of the week, still some work to do, and of course we're still below 50%. So I mean, there's nothing really to be said overall in the market. You can't get too bullish unless this is over 50%. I mean, that's just how it is. So still a lot of work to be done, but let's see what happens if we get into that 30% range. See what if we start to come down there. The other canary in the coal mine that we were talking about potentially seeing that bounce, we didn't quite get as low. I think the lowest reading was like 21%. We got real close. The 20 is where we really get to those extremes that really gives us those bigger moves. But we were watching how this was getting really, really oversold, and we were talking about I wouldn't be surprised, that I wouldn't have been surprised to see a move to the upside here. And then this with the correlation with the 50, we gave us that nice move. So that was another clue that we were watching that gave us that hint that we were going to be moving in the other direction into this week. So all right, let's look at new highs versus new lows right now. And this one still, we have gotten over that big area here in that negative 250, 255. But until we start getting some readings over zero, again, it's not too bullish. We'd have to start to see these moves over, and then we can talk about seeing a bigger move in the market. But as it stands, nice move over the 200 line, but we got to get some more market participation, and that's only going to be if we start to really get over that zero line. So from here, still not really not bullish overall. So all right, let me mark this off really quickly. Okay. All right. Let's get into our VIX. Okay, here we go on the VIX. Now, interesting. A lot more puts coming in. It seems like to me, getting above zero here on the put call ratio a little bit. We're not in the extremes yet, but it's flirting there a little bit now. So this is interesting how this developing market's starting to short a bit more as it stands, but we're not too one-sided yet. Still more or less neutral, but we are above one, so it doesn't, one, it could have some trouble here. Let's see if that starts to cool off a little bit, but nothing too extreme here. So nothing really for any type of contrarian indicator one way or the other. Maybe just slightly too lopsided to the short, but not really by much. VIX, though, really breaking down over the last few sessions. We needed to see VIX hold over that 19, basically. Otherwise, we were talking about seeing more downside in the market, or excuse me, more upside in the market. We were also talking about that potential rising wedge, right? Pattern for the pattern traders here. We had that slight rising wedge that we were watching, and I don't actually. Hold on. Sorry. Was that it? Well, anyway, you get the idea. The main point is that the trend here, there we go, has been broken. I was just trying to, there we go. The trend has been broken, right? So this is what you want to see. However, we're still above 16, and we're still above basically like the 1570. This is going to be the line in the sand. If we start to get down below that, okay, then we can start talking a bit more bullish overall. From it as it stands right here, from where the VIX is, this would also, to me, I think would be probably, it wouldn't shock me to see the 16 come back into this area again. We've broken the trend. We're now under 19. Okay, we can just probably, maybe we see a bit of a green day tomorrow on VIX, or in the back half of the week, maybe set up some type of a bear flag, and then we come down into this 16 area, high 15s, and then we see a move back up to the upside. If that happens, I think that this would be what might lead us back to that 430. So we come down here. This is going to be the 430 area or thereabouts on SPY, and then we reject there, as we were talking about earlier, and then we see a move up in VIX. Let's see if that plays out. Okay, let's go into some VIX futures here, and then we'll get a little bit more granular on some of our lower time frames on the S&P. Let's look at our VIX futures now. Here we go. Okay, what are we seeing from that? Well, here was the other kind of clue that that was signaling to this counter trend rally, right? Kept on trying to get out of contango in backwardation above the zero line. We couldn't quite get over it, and we saw that it was kind of hanging out just below, and we were saying, all right, well, the fact that it's not getting over zero is kind of a little bit suspicious to me, that there might, more downside, right? And what happened? VIX futures just fell off a cliff. Now we're just down here in the dumps. Where we're sitting right here now, wouldn't surprise me to see an uptick in this over the next back half of the week. Okay, so let's see about that. Maybe we come up and get a reading at that 44 here, and kind of retest this low area from the 10th. So let's watch out for that, though. And this, to me, with VIX, with the VIX futures being down this far, also saying why I wouldn't want to be longing this move just yet. But here's another canary in the coal mine that we were watching on the 9-day versus the monthly here. Tried for a second to get over the zero, but it was struggling, right? Struggling. Still couldn't get over, and now obviously a big move down under. So for here, as long as this stays under zero, I think that is conducive for more upside in the market. But I wouldn't be shocked to see this come up, maybe try to test zero, maybe try to test negative, I don't know, 35, 25, and then come back down. That could happen. And if that happens, we come up like that. That kind of leads into where I was saying maybe we see 1 or 2 days of selling, then we come up here, reject, and then we get that move to the upside. That's going to be maybe into that 430 zone. So let's see. VVIX though absolutely crushed. We were talking about that potential bear flag forming right here under that 103, 105 area, and that is exactly what we got. Couldn't get back over. Boom, sent us back down. So as long as we're still trading, well, I shouldn't say that. As long as we're still under the 103 and the 105 area, this is looking conducive for more upside in the markets. But let's watch out here. Now we've got that bear flag break, right? And I don't want to put this level on here, but we'll just plot it out, right? We've got that structure break there of the bear flag. What if we see some type of a move up there and down? 2 or 3 days of selling, back and then up and then back down. This move back down may give us that 430. Okay, so let's watch for that. But as long as this stays below this breakdown, and of course below 103, 105, then that's good for the markets. All right, let's get into some of our SPY charts here. Start to break down some views from a more granular perspective. We're going to come into the hourly here. I think that I'm just trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to look over from this. Okay, this was the one that I also wanted to look at really quickly. Okay. The risk to reward for the long is just very sketchy here. If you didn't get this move, that's fine. We might get it, there's going to be a thousand other trades and a thousand other trades that you'll miss. But I wouldn't be just jumping in. We're coming in to backtest this major area here of traffic. So just be careful. All right, let's get more granular. No more daily stuff. All right, 1 hour. Boom. Okay. Into the 1 hour. Let's get our day trade and fibs up. Where are we as far as this viewpoint? Okay. All right. So we've made a nice move to the upside. Now what's going to happen? All right. We've already talked about the 420, right? And from this perspective, what we would really want to see is going to be the highs from the prior session, 422, right? We're breaking it down here, smaller time frame, 422. We want to see that hold. If that does not hold, we may sell back down a little bit. Where could we potentially come up into? Well, we've got the 420, which we've already been over, but from this perspective, we also have 419.25. Got the 618 sitting right there. So if we do come into that area, watch out. I mean, it could be a little bit of a double bottom there, triple bottom. So if we do start to break, maybe we trade into that. We can watch that area for a potential move. But as long as from this viewpoint, as long as 420 still holds, okay, we could still have some potential upside in the markets. You can see here the top of our fib channel, though, basically that right around that 425.50, that zone. We already went over that from the bigger picture perspective about getting over that. Then we can potentially see 430, right? Another $5. So that's pretty much what this is kind of showing me. But if we do start to accept back under 419, okay, then we will watch for sells potentially back into these highs here from Tuesday, the pre-market highs from Wednesday in the 418 area. We start trading under that. Look for like the low 417s in my opinion. So We'll see, but as long as we're hanging out and consolidating in this area here, I would consider that overall the most bullish thing that we could see. And then last stop is going to be, 420, and then of course we've been over the other big number in that 416 zone. But let's see about if maybe we just trade here for a while. I don't know. We're gonna have to see what happens after Apple, but let's watch out for that. This range maybe coming up. All right, let's get into some of our balance zones and then close out the video. I want to thank all my subscribers and listeners for joining me as we navigate these markets. I really appreciate it. If you've made it this far and you're enjoying the content, it takes a lot of preparation and planning for these videos. So try not just to come up with these things willy-nilly. So I would really appreciate it if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. Smash that like button. It means a lot to me. And again, thank you to everyone who takes the time to listen to these videos with me. I love that you're taking the time to prepare. All right, let's look at some balance zones now, and then we'll close out the video. Boom. Okay. So, what can we take away from these viewpoints? And actually, since this is on here, let me just get off the volume profile so we can just see. Okay, cool. All right. So, what do we got? All right. Already kind of been over this a little bit, but okay. From this viewpoint, now we've already talked about the 422. So, sure, we've got that. But from this viewpoint, we want to be holding over 422.45. If we open up anywhere in this area, I'm going to see we're a little spicy here on the Momo 30, but it will probably could cool off if we hang out over here. So if we hang out right around in this zone, probably have to look more towards the long side, anywhere in here. Last stop really, if I was in long at 45, my stop would probably be somewhere, under this this 422 area, somewhere, whoops, somewhere, oh god, that's so ugly, somewhere in this area. If I was going long off of the 422, I probably would just be at the money calls at that point, looking for moves. Basically where we're sitting right now. It just depends on where we open, but I'd be looking for moves then to come into the 424 40 50 area, somewhere in that zone. We start getting over that and accepting. We've got that big 425 there. Watch out from there. We could have some issues, but if we do start to really get over and accept, we've got 425 75 and 426 30 25 area, anywhere in that zone to backtest some of that balance. Could be a potential short trade there if we do open up in that area here, and then we fade down. As it stands, we have moved up a little bit in after hours, and Globex here futures is up another 10 points. So I wonder if we do open up with a slight gap up tomorrow, and I wonder if we fade that gap. We open in a gap up and it's not a gap and go, and if it's a gap and plop. I don't know, we'll see. But okay, so in this area, I'd also potentially be looking for a short trade, maybe back down into that 424 area. Then maybe we do bounce there. I'm not sure, but ideally, obviously, if you're short, you're looking for a move through that back into here in that 422, 420. 45 area. So but under the 422, all right, watch out. I think it wouldn't be too hard. Right here we've created some thin structure on this move, so if we do really start to accept under this area, in my opinion, it would not be hard at all for us just to chew right through this and come back into 421 420 75. Could be an area there that I would also consider a potential long at that point for a move back up into 423 area. So at that 420, maybe I'd hit 421 calls, or just at the money at 421. or 420s there, I should say, and look for moves back up into here, where of course we could potentially look for a short. We don't know if it's going to break, but if it does, then we're just going to be coming back up and looking for that 424.50 zone again, where we're hanging out right now. But under 420, 75, in my opinion, then we can really start seeing more selling, and we'll just retrace the entire move, and we'll come back down, to 419, 418, 50 area. So let's watch out. I mean, it could be interesting. Come on, show me. Sorry, my mouse froze. There we go. I'm wondering, if we see something like this tomorrow, we just retrace the whole move like that, right? So we'll see. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over there. I guess the only other thing I'll say is if we break under 418.60, 65, we're looking at 417.50 under that 417, and then 416.30. If we break over 426.35, we'll be looking for 427 and 427.50, 60 area. Be our next zone. So, all right. Again, thank you so much for joining me on the video. Really appreciate it. Remember, a profitable trader is a prepared trader, and trade your plan, plan your trades. Let's kill the end of the week here, and I will see you on the weekend video. All right. Take care. Have a great night.